Hey everyone, I'm Rachel Chin, and I'm here to share the tale of how I discovered that those closest to you can sometimes be the ones who see you the least. For 15 years, I crafted a tech empire from the ground up in my garage. Yeah, for my so-called perfect family, that wasn't enough. In the Chin household, education reigned supreme. My older brother, Michael, was the star, flawless grades, stellar SAT scores, and a full scholarship to Harvard Business School. Me, I was wired differently. Numbers sang to me in a unique way. While Michael buried himself in textbooks, I was dismantling computers, teaching myself to code, and envisioning something groundbreaking. Rachel, you're squandering your potential, Mom would sigh, shaking her head as I tinkered in the garage instead of filling out college applications. Look at Michael, already gearing up for his MBA, while you're just messing around. That messing around they scoffed at? It grew into Chin Solutions, now worth $100 million. Let me take you back to the start. 15 years ago, while Michael kicked off his Harvard journey, I walked away from community college. When I broke the news to my parents, Dad, a revered Stanford professor, couldn't even meet my eyes. Mom wept for weeks. Michael, home for spring break, just grinned smugly. Well, sis, someone's got to be the family let down, he quipped, adjusting his Harvard sweatshirt. Don't worry. When I'm running a Fortune 500 company, I'll hook you up with a mailroom gig. That night in my cramped garage workspace, surrounded by circuit boards and unfinished prototypes, I vowed to succeed. Not by chasing their path, but by forging my own. The early years were grueling. While Michael shared photos from glitzy MBA networking events, I was crashing on a futon in a tiny office, surviving on instant noodles and coffee. But I had something they couldn't grasp, a vision. I spotted a gaping hole in the cybersecurity market. Big companies were chasing pricey, complex solutions, leaving small businesses exposed. I created Security Shield, a straightforward, potent security suite that small businesses could afford and understand. The first version was rough, but it worked. Word got around. One client turned into 10, then 100. By year 3, we landed our first $1 million contract. Did my family take notice? Sort of, but not how you'd hope. Nice little venture you've got, Rachel, Michael said at Thanksgiving that year. But you really should get a proper degree. You can't build a serious company without credentials. Mom chimed in, nodding. It's not too late to go back to school, sweetheart. Michael could help you apply to top business programs. I just smiled, ate my turkey, and let them think what they wanted. I was too busy growing my company to argue. The next 10 years zoomed by. Chin Solutions went global. We launched new products, acquired smaller firms, and became a powerhouse in small business cybersecurity. Our clients even included some Fortune 500 companies, pretty ironic given Michael's old jab. Meanwhile, Michael was climbing the corporate ladder at a top-tier consulting firm, making partner by 35. Family gatherings turned into a stage for his triumphs. Michael just sealed a $15 million deal. Michael's featured in Business Weekly. Michael's killing it at Harvard. My achievements? Always with a caveat. Rachel's doing well considering. Considering I'm a dropout. Considering I lack formal training. Considering I'm not Michael. Then came last week, Michael's promotion party. He'd been named CEO of his firm's tech division, and Mom and Dad threw a grand bash at the Ritz-Carlton. Silicon Valley's elite were there, including many of my own clients and competitors, though my parents were clueless about that. I showed up early in a simple black dress, which Mom instantly critiqued. Couldn't you have tried harder? This is a big night for your brother. The evening unfolded predictably. Speeches lauding Michael's brilliance, credentials, and potential. Then Michael tapped his glass for a big reveal. Thank you all for being here, he said, flashing his polished grin. As you know, I've just been named CEO of our tech division. But that's not all. He paused, locking eyes with me across the room. We're diving headfirst into the small business cybersecurity market. In fact, his smile turned sharp. I'm looking to acquire my sister's little company as our first step. It's time for Chin Solutions to have real, qualified leadership. The room buzzed with whispers. I sat stunned as Michael pressed on. Let's be real. In today's market, you need proper credentials to compete. My sister's done decently, given her limitations. But it's time for Chin Solutions to grow up. Rachel, he turned to me, as your brother, I'm offering you a smooth exit. Let the pros take it from here before your lack of education tanks what you've built. I glanced at Dad, glowing with pride at Michael's savvy. Mom was already telling her friends how great it'd be to have both kids at the same company. The room awaited my reply. Michael smirked, expecting me to cave and admit he'd always been right. Instead, I stood slowly, smoothed my inadequate dress, and stepped to the podium. Thank you for the intriguing offer, Michael, I said calmly. I'll have my answer ready by morning. Then I walked out, leaving behind the murmurs and stares. In my car, I started firing off emails. It was going to be a long night, but by dawn, they'd see what a dropout could do. Tomorrow would shift everything. The next morning broke bright and clear. I arrived at Chin Solutions headquarters at 6 a.m., hours before the usual start. As I walked through the quiet offices, I ran my fingers along the sleek glass walls and modern workstations, everything I'd built from scratch while my family doubted me. At exactly 9 a.m., the elevator opened. Michael strode in, Dad and two men in sharp suits, likely his company's lawyers, trailing behind. His confident grin flickered when he saw me sitting calmly at the conference table. Rachel, he said, adjusting his tailored tie, glad you're here. These are our attorneys. They've drawn up the acquisition papers. You'll find our offer generous, considering my limitations. I finished, smiling. Please have a seat. I have some documents to share too. They sat in the leather chairs, Michael reaching for what he thought were my surrender papers. Instead, I opened my laptop and projected onto the main screen. Before we discuss your offer, let me share a few things about my little company. I pulled up the first document. This is Chin Solutions' current valuation, $100 million, verified by 3 independent firms last month. Michael's smirk faltered. That's impossible. Our research showed your research, I interrupted, relied on incomplete public records. While you were stacking degrees, I was stacking patents. Chin Solutions holds over 200 proprietary security algorithms. The company you tried to buy. That's just the surface. I clicked to the next slide. Here's our client list. Notice anything familiar? Dad leaned in, his face paling as he saw the names, including Michael's own firm. That's right, I continued. Your company's cybersecurity runs on our systems, has for years. In fact, I pulled up another document, that $50 million deal you're so proud of, Michael. The client picked your firm because you promised them our security suite. Michael's face turned ashen. That's impossible. I'd have known. Would you? I asked quietly. Did you ever bother to check who built the systems you've been selling? Or did you just assume, as always, that my work couldn't matter? The lawyers scrambled through their papers, realizing their due diligence had missed a massive piece. I'm not done, I said, pulling up the final document. Remember that graceful exit you offered? I have a counteroffer. I slid folders across the table. Chin Solutions just acquired your firm's entire tech division. The board approved it last night, unanimously. They were especially impressed by our new quantum encryption tech, something your due diligence missed too. Michael tore open the folder, hands trembling. This is a joke. The board would never, the board, mostly Chin Solutions clients. I asked, feigning innocence. The same board relying on our systems to protect billions in assets? That board. Dad stared at me like I was a stranger. One lawyer was already on his phone, likely verifying my claims. So here's the deal, Michael, I said, voice steady. Option 1. You resign from the tech division, effective immediately. You'll get a generous severance and a glowing recommendation for a non-competing industry. Option 2. I paused, watching his arrogance crack. I released the records showing how your division took credit for Chin Solutions innovations for years. I'm sure Harvard Business Review would eat up a story about an Ivy League CEO passing off his sister's work as his own. Silence fell. Through the glass walls, employees were arriving, watching curiously. You wouldn't, Michael said, his voice shaky. We're family. Family. I gave a soft laugh. Last night, you called me unqualified and limited. You tried to snatch my company in front of everyone we know. That's not family, that's bad business. Dad finally spoke. Rachel, surely we can talk this out. Your brother didn't mean, he meant every word, I cut in. Just like you meant it when you called my work tinkering. Just like Mom meant it when she said my success was luck. I stood, smoothing my dress, the same inadequate one from last night. The acquisition is legally binding. The press release goes out in an hour. Your call, Michael. Quiet retirement or public scandal. 20 minutes later, I watched from my office window as Michael stormed out, Dad scrambling after him. The lawyer stayed to iron out his resignation. That evening, Mom called, sobbing about how I'd ruined Michael's career. I let it go to voicemail. Instead, I opened an email from Harvard Business School, inviting me to deliver their commencement address next spring on innovation without limits, success beyond traditional paths. I accepted with a quiet smile, already crafting my speech. I had one hell of a story to tell. The next year brought unexpected shifts. Chin Solutions' value tripled after going public. Michael pivoted to real estate, far from tech. Dad retired, finally grasping that degrees don't always equal skill. We still gather for holidays, keeping a cautious distance over wounds that may never fully mend. Sometimes, late at night, I look at old family photos and feel a pang for what we've lost. But then I recall Michael's smirks, Dad's dismissals, Mom's doubts, and I'm reminded that respect is earned, not owed. Now, when I speak at tech conferences, I hear whispers. That's Rachel Chin, the dropout who they never finish, but they don't need to. My success speaks louder. Last week, I got an invite to speak at Michael's old firm's annual retreat on recognizing innovation, looking beyond traditional metrics. I accepted, smiling as I remembered the night. They thought a dropout couldn't build something valuable. From my office overlooking Silicon Valley, I'm reminded of my first mentor's words. Success isn't about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourself right. She was spot on. But sometimes doing both feels damn good. The company keeps pushing boundaries, breaking new ground. More importantly, I've found peace with my path. The best revenge isn't tearing others down. It's soaring so high they can't ignore their own flaws. Not all success stories follow the script, and not every achievement needs a degree. Sometimes, the greatest victories come from those bold enough to write their own rules. As for Michael's Harvard MBA, it looks nice on his wall, right next to the real estate license he needed after trying to take the wrong company from the wrong, unqualified sister. Don't forget to subscribe to Love Chris Stories and drop your favorite part in the comments.